Well, I think, as the saying goes, I made the wrong turn to Albuquerque. I'm gonna call this the Bermuda Triangle, because when I came here, I looked at the GPS to see in relation to how far we were to the trail, and it was floating all over the place. I was stopped, but my location was actually floating. It was weird. All right, so we are back again this morning. So yesterday, after I turned you guys off, I kept going, and well, I think, as the saying goes, I made the wrong turn to Albuquerque, and somehow trying to avoid the swamp area and everything, GPS started going really weird. So I thought I was on track, and I ended up at the neighbor's pathway. So the owner is actually up today. We are going to go through the remaining part of the trail from the cottage to where we left off, and try and stay on his property side and get it marked out. So when I get back, you guys back on, we'll have it all marked, and we'll be starting. So here we go.
Shadow boxer, Canadian folk hero, storyteller, Gord Downey. Gord Downey died on this day 8 years ago, and that's a loss that 8 years later you still can't put into words, so I'm not going to try to. Instead, we'll hit the road. A journey across Canada west to east, right here, exploring all the points of interest that inspired some of our favorite Tragically Hip tunes and some of their unplugged gems as well. My name is Lou, and in tribute to Gord Downey today, let's take the Hip Road trip. Looking for a place to happen and making stops along the way.
All right, it is the next day, and yesterday it rained buckets. So I wasn't focused on making sure the GoPro was good. I just wanted to get as much as I could done safely without getting stuck and without the mud. So we are very close to connecting the two trails now. So if you remember, just over there, if you look behind the excavator, you can kind of see the corduroy road. That was the swamp area that we hit 2 days ago. And where we went wrong is when we came up to the high area here. This is where I'm gonna call this the Bermuda Triangle, because when I came here, I looked at the GPS to see in relation to how far we were to the trail, and it was floating all over the place. I was stopped, but my location was actually floating. It was weird, and couldn't figure out what was going on. So I kind of guesstimated, because I know just around that corner we hit the ribboned area that was marked off. So as I was coming here, this is where the mistake happened. I don't know if you can see, let me see here. There's ribbons in there. I don't know if you can see them or not. Let me see if we can, there we go. If you can see those ribbons in there, I thought that was the marking of the driveway. So I kept going this way because I figured we were literally side by side, parallel with what he had marked out. Little did I know that when we got to the end here, what I thought something was weird when we got to the end. Luckily, this is somebody else's property. She was okay because he showed her pictures and it's all dead. It's all tag alders, so she wasn't worried about it. Anyways, if you can see that hill at the end, that's actually her roadway to get in. And it was camouflaged because it had so much overgrowth on it that I thought it was a berm or a hill. Couldn't figure out what was going on because there was a ditch there. So we started to kind of gnaw away at it, and as I pulled all the stuff off, that's when I realized that, yeah, this is not what I thought it was. And called the property owner, asked him, do you have a trail going through the back of this somewhere? He said, yeah, don't worry about it. I said, no, this looks really used. He said, really? So then I started walking and I said, I see a sign. And he said, is this? And he said, okay, you made a wrong turn. So anyways, he ended up coming up, and together yesterday we marked everything out. We started on the side of the cottage, as you guys know, and we got as close as, it was raining so much last night when I finished, and it was getting dark, and because it was raining, it was getting dark fast. So I knew that I had a 15-20 minute trip to get back out to the road, so I stopped. Funny enough, I don't know if you guys can see that clearing over there, but that clearing is actually where I left off. So we just have to clear and blend this in, and this is pretty soft, swampy area. So I'm gonna try and just maybe hit a little bit of the high ground here and see if we can kind of turn it. That way we can kind of keep it somewhat okay for the property owner, so he doesn't end up with a ton of muck and getting stuck. So pretty happy to see that we only have that little bit left to do. It is an amazing day. We are supposed to get rain later on today, but it is sunny. We got some clouds that are starting to move in, so we got to get moving. We got to get this started. So I'm gonna put you guys back in the cab, and yeah, we are hitting the finish line very soon. Then once we're done that, then we kind of got to go through the entire trail, just touch everything up, make sure everything looks good, is accessible, and try and make it as smooth as possible for the property owner. Mind you, he's got an ATV, so it's meant to be rugged, but still, we're gonna try and make it as smooth as possible. I spoke to him this morning as we got here. So yeah, let's get started. Here we go. right, well, we have officially made it through and connected both sides of the trail. The property owner came through just as I was about to go through, and just before we put you guys back on. The camera overheats. I still don't know why it's doing that. I've contacted GoPro and they can't give me a proper response, nor are they interested in fixing it. So I'm thinking for next season, I know DJI has a new GoPro competitor type camera that's out there. I might look at trying that instead. I really like GoPro, but man, they're dropping the ball. But so anyways, I am going to focus on cleaning the rest of this up. There's a tree, that tree has to come out. There's a bunch of roots that we still got to pull out at the same time too. And yeah, this is actually really nice here. It is wet, but we're on top of gravel. Now when I say gravel, this is not stuff that you put in your driveway. This is like big rock, and so it's very, very, very solid. So if I can scrape the overburden off on it, I'm gonna try and pull it that way. Pull as much as we can this way and try and clean up what we can as we're going along, because what I'm going to do is use this stuff to actually put on the corduroy bridge to kind of smooth it out a bit for the landowner as well, because he wants it a bit smoother for the ATV, but he's not interested in getting stuck, so he wants me to leave the trees and everything there. So in the meantime, I'm actually going to stop and quickly eat lunch and take a quick break and come up with a proper plan, because this is where I finished last night. I still need some cleaning up too. I need to be able to rake what I can with the bucket, pull it all this way, kind of level it out a bit more, and pull what we can and start pulling all the way, like I said, over to there. So we'll see you soon. Put you back on time lapse, and yeah, here we go. All right, and we are done. So we beat the rain. It's coming, but we got everything done. It's going to be really hard to show you before and after. We measured it, and you're probably looking at about 700 meters, almost 3/4 of a kilometer that we cleared personally, plus the excess trail that was already existing, and we cleaned that as well for him at the beginning. So we did over a kilometer of work. Anyways, we got some drone footage. Hopefully you can kind of see some of the trail that we cut in. A lot of it is still covered with the tree, so you really can't see unless we tried to fly the drone through, but I'd have to be back there, and to walk the excavator back is just way too much. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm off to go check on another job, and yeah, we'll see you at the next project. Take care, guys.